Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Robert Price and Levi Penley!
I chose the worst place to come out. There's a chair right there. Hey everybody! Welcome to the Cheep Show. How can you say me too? That's like, there's like 1,000 generic English responses that would have all worked, and you went straight for the only one that didn't.
Do you know anyone in the audience tonight, Levi?
I know a few people actually. I know the wonderful Miss Sarah Lee, who's responsible for bringing all of us here today. We go way back, Sarah and I.
Okay.
I also met a gentleman by the name of Brian, who is carrying, I believe, part of the load of being the tour guide on this journey. Admirable work you're doing, Brian. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I met two charming people that are right in front of us, actually. I met Lexi right there, and I met Katie, right? And they're both dear people, but in different capacities. Can I tell you about it?
Please do.
I'm about to. Oh, Lexi likes to be in the chorus. Please don't ignore us. They're a very important part of the show. You're sporting in the spotlight. Know that people behind you are giving you all you got. You would be nowhere without them.
Well, I would be lying if I said that, Brian, I wanted to have the job that you had. I'd be trying not to be dying if I was you. It's hard enough for me to maneuver New York City on my own. Welcome to the Cheep Show. Well, I think that clearly there's no one better than Sarah Lee when it comes to teaching theater to me. Ooh, whoop-dee-dee. You're a great friend until the end.
Well, thanks for coming, Katie. She's a very talented lady, and she's a triple threat, which she won't regret. 'Cause it doesn't matter if you don't have to choose. You can be more than one thing. That's called intersectionality.
Welcome to the Cheep Show. Oh, your friends and family may doubt you,
But we couldn't do it without you. So thanks for choosing us as what you want to do. Woo.
welcome to the Cheep Show.
Whoa. Welcome to the Cheep Show. Whoa.
We're both taller than that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage someone you know and love. You've seen him up here at QED before, playing the guitar, singing an improvised song. And now you're going to see him do some stand-up comedy. Give it up for Levi Penley! Woo! Hey, how is everybody doing?
Awesome. Me too. Y'all, my name is Levi. I've got a large nose, a terrible sense of smell, and a great understanding of irony. I grew You're right there with me? On which part? The nose part or the, I think you're doing great. I think that's a well-proportioned nose. That's 2 out of 2 opinions. This is a great nose up in the front row, everyone. So I came from a large family. I was the youngest of 4 boys. So I was the honorary sister. I held that title well. So well that after Heather was born, they were like, why don't you keep it? I grew up in Georgia, in a small town. I worked in a lumber yard for 3 years, and I played football for 6 years. But do not let that fool you. I was a terrible Southerner. I did things like put sugar in my grits. Yeah, I know. And I liked black people. You know, Yankee stuff. And I grew up really religious as well. My father's a Baptist pastor. 2 of my brothers followed in his footsteps. I almost did as well. I was an ordained minister for quite some time. But it turns out I'm a terrible Baptist as well, because I did things like stop believing in the Bible and I officiated my gay friend's wedding. So, yeah. So I did have my ordination revoked, and I was kicked out of my father's church by my father, which is not a joke. No, that's all right. I could have used some of those laughs around the Thanksgiving table. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't go home for Thanksgiving. I'm not kidding. It turns out I was just terrible at a lot of things. I was a really bad baby. I was no good at it. There is home video footage of me on the beach eating rocks. And my mother's on the camera and she's like, Levi, will you stop? Unfazed. Like, this is not abnormal behavior for me, clearly. And then I never crawled. As a baby, I never crawled. I just rolled. Everywhere. Which is not abnormal. Babies roll, but then they learn to crawl, and then they learn to walk. But I just cut out the middleman and just kept on rolling. My mom said, you were such an adept roller, you just never needed to learn how to crawl. I was like, great way to sell that, Mom. My son's an adept roller. I think you mean an idiot. I think that's the word you're looking for. But when I could walk, I started eating out of the trash can. That was a bad habit I had for about 6 years. Yeah, it's bad. For reference, dogs usually stop at year 3. But then when I was like 7 or 8, I was just crying all the time. And my mom would find me and she'd be like, what's wrong? And I'd be like, I imagine Dad died. She'd be like, well, he's fine, he's in the living room. I'm like, I know, but I imagined it. Well, stop. And it got to the point where that didn't faze her either. She'd see me crying and be like, who did you imagine died this time? Me? It's like, great, I had a kid who couldn't figure out how to crawl, but he's already grasped his own mortality. That's fantastic. I was a terribly anxious child. I'm a terribly anxious adult as well. And I recently realized that I'm actually pretty insecure as a person. I was talking to my best friend about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm a pretty insecure person, I realized. And he's like, oh, that's tough, man. Especially being in a relationship. Insecurity weighs on a relationship like a burden. And it's like a poison that eats at it from the inside until nothing that was beautiful about it still remains. And I said, but he was right. I went through a really rough patch recently in my relationship, and my anxiety was like, you're gonna break up, you're gonna break up! And I was like, yo, relax, we just need to work through some stuff, and then we broke up. So now my anxiety's like, see, I told you! Everything I say is true now! You will never have the reciprocated love of a woman, and the mole on your back is cancerous. Good night! You don't get to know what happens after you die. Don't forget about that. Sleep well. I'll be here in the morning. BFF, that guy. Was it tough traveling about in New York City as compared to Colorado Springs? Or not Springs, sorry, Woodland Park specifically.
So Woodland Park, yes. There's no one in Woodland Park.
In Woodland Park, you just like hop in somebody's car and you go places. New York, if you hop in someone's car, you don't go anywhere. Just sit somewhere in someone's car. But there's air conditioning at least. That's not part of the bit. That's just me forgetting what I'm supposed to be saying right now. Which was something along the lines of, so relationships. Relationships are tough, y'all, and they don't get any easier. I don't have a great track record with them. Me trying to be in a relationship is a lot like me being on a bomb squad. But I don't have any bomb diffusing experience, so It's exciting. I'm enjoying myself. But I feel morally obligated to occasionally remind the other person, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I probably shouldn't be doing this. I'm just worried about what might happen. And they're like, you're in your head too much. Just relax, have fun. And then I blow us both to hell. And then we're in pieces and I feel guilty, but I should because I'm the one who created the bomb in the first place. I didn't mention that. It's not a perfect analogy. Anyway, I've been single for a while. It's tough.
Aww.
It's not just relationships though that make me anxious. I get anxious for a lot. Auditioning is one that anyone in the room feel that those little audition jitters. It doesn't help that the first professional audition I had was like the most terrifying experience of my life. I was in Georgia. It was my senior year of college. And I got an appointment to audition for the Alliance Theater, which is like the theater in Atlanta. So I'm nervous and I'm excited. And in the email, they're like, what kind of dance experience do you have? We're looking specifically for contemporary dance. And I was like, I was honest. I'm like, I don't consider myself a dancer, but I've taken classes and I have taken a contemporary class. And they're like, well, great, show up ready to move. We'll also hear a monologue, have you read a little bit. And I was like, awesome. And now I'm feeling better because I've been to dance auditions before. I think I know what to expect. Me and several other people will enter a room. They will teach all of us a combination. We will all do the combination, and then they will ask me to leave. That's what I'm used to. But the day of the audition comes, and I show up to what is a very small room with only 3 people. Myself, an intern, and the head of casting for the Alliance Theater. And so we're talking. And it's going well, and then they're like, do you want to go ahead and do the dance? And I was like, yeah, let's get it out of the way. And she says, great, whenever you're ready. And I said, just whenever you're ready. I said, I'm sorry, was I supposed to prepare a combination for this? And she said, no, I thought you could make something up. I was like, oh, of course, I'll improvise a contemporary dance piece for you. Just give me a second to die 1,000 deaths. But I did do that in that very, very silent room with no music in front of the casting director for the largest theater in Atlanta. And what I'm about to do for you is attempt to recreate on this very small stage the dance I did that day.
Yeah! Should be back up.
No, you're great. I'm not gonna. That's about it. Y'all thought I was joking when I said I was an adept roller. This is an amateur hour, ladies and gentlemen. No, but needless to say, booked it. So, the best thing I did take away from that audition, though, was a perfect way to escape any awkward situation. Hey, wow, Levi, I haven't seen you since, well, I guess since the breakup. How are you? Well, the thing you gotta remember is the media isn't exactly painting him in a great light. I just think, well, there's a lot of fake news flying around. Like, well, enough of what I'm saying. What do you think? Levi, the thing to remember is that when Jesus... Thank you, it's a classic, it's catching on. So I've been thinking recently, why is it that we only have one car horn? We have just the one sound. We can make essentially one exclamation, which is basically, no! That's it. Someone's like, can I come over? No! Well, I'm coming over anyway. No! I really think we could benefit from some diversity there. I feel like even just a little thank you horn, just a sensible little me-moo. Somebody does something polite in traffic, thank you for letting me out. Me-moo. Or even like an I'm sorry horn. You've done something you feel bad for, you're like, I'm sorry I cut you off, I'm sorry we hit the light. Swirmy, you know? I just think it would really help. But of course, the reason why we don't have those is because we would immediately start using them sarcastically. Be like, you cut somebody off and they'd be like, oh great, I missed the light. Me moo. Me moo very much. You'd be like, oh, did I make you miss the light? Swami. Swami, not swami. Yeah, it would be a mess. Or how about like the flirting horn, you know?
Yeah.
When you're, yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
When you're stuck in traffic and you're like, there's that cute person and you're moving at like the same speed, you keep making eye contact. Maybe just like a little horn that's like, shoot, boop, ba doo. Just a nice little shoot, boop, ba doo. Shoot, boop. No! Swami. I also would like a horn to help, like when I see my friend Greg on the sidewalk and I want to get his attention, it's always so hard to get his attention. Yo, Greg! Yo, Greg! Yo, Greg! What? Shoot the In a perfect world, that's what flirting would be. Just two people, shoot-boop-a-doo. I wish it were that easy. I'm not great at flirting. I struggle with it. My idea of flirting is being vaguely polite in someone's direction and then hoping they can read my mind. Which doesn't work because that's not how flirting works. Oftentimes flirting, I have found out, is the exact opposite of being polite. It'll be something like, oh my God, Brittany, do you own any dresses that aren't cute floral patterns? And she'll be like, shut up, Brendan. And what actually happened there was he said, I'm paying attention to your clothing choices. And she said, I'd make out with you maybe. Which I'm not good at. And I'm also not good at noticing when people are trying to do that to me. Like when I hear somebody say, oh my God, Levi, you are such a beer drinker. You always order an IPA at the bar. Why don't you mix it up? Well, I don't know, Brittany. Why don't you leave me alone? What business is it of yours what beverage I prefer? I'll tell you. None. None of your business. Like two ships in the night, Brittany and I. If only we could go back. No, I'm getting better though. I did recently go on a date, and like a real New York date with a real New York woman. I was doing well, not being that anxious. And next thing I know, we're at her apartment and we're kissing, and I feel that old familiar feeling of the cold, icy claws of 1,000 dead Baptists reaching from the to clutch my conflicted genitals. So I'm nervous. And she can tell. So she stops and she looks at me and she says, hey, do you want to do this? And I said, well, you're a fantastic crowd. We love you very much. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Robert Price.
You're the sweetest thing I ever knew.
Yeah!
But I don't care for sugar, honey. If I can't have you. Thank you. Welcome to the Cheep Show. You can find us online at thecheapshow.com. That's Cheep Show with 2 E's, like the sound a flying fish makes when it's upside down. So glad that Levi could be here today. Usually on Sundays he works with a nonprofit called Hate the Homeless. He stands outside a soup kitchen and shouts at people. He gets so angry when poor people refuse to die. Yeah, he's not a good guy. But he introduced me to a notion the other day that I'd like to share with you. He told me about how the Earth controls her own population. I never really thought about this. Basically, human beings are great at killing each other, for sure. But occasionally, Mother Nature will just wipe out hundreds of thousands of people in a natural disaster. So as far as she's concerned, most of us should be dead. The guy that invented seatbelts, he is Prometheus stealing fire from the gods. When we get to heaven, there's going to be this roped off section, and we're going to be like, what's this for? And they're going to be like, oh, we all died in the 2004 tsunami. All 200,000 of us, you know, we were a milestone. History was built on our broken bodies. They'd be all snooty about it, you know? And they'd be like, you know, Vietnam deaths and the Civil War's over there carousing the sarsaparilla or whatever. And they'd be like the 9/11 crowd, and they're like, there's only 3,000 of us, it's pretty exclusive. No big deal. The Columbine high school kids would be over here like, we changed gun culture. We're the first school shooting. And the Sandy Hook kids are like, oh, we just make people sad. Right. You're going to enjoy the rest of this.
I'm so ready.
So, well, in heaven, you really only have your death to throw shade about. That's all you really have. Like, what did you do during life? Well, I was famous. Women loved me, entertained millions. How'd you die? On the toilet. I was thinking about doing a constipation song after that, but oh yeah.
Well, I'm constipated due to barbiturates.
Opioids lock you up. Cool. So I babysit in the city to support myself because people trust me. And I don't love the kids as my own, but occasionally I do get a warm, fuzzy feeling. Because sometimes someone will mistake the little girl I'm watching to be my daughter. And when that happens, I start thinking things like, well, if me and Sarah did have a daughter, she'd have brown eyes and she'd love to sing, and she'd probably have an anger problem, a fear and respect for authority. She'd probably say things like, I don't remember. And Adam and Eve discovered gravity when an apple fell on their head. She asked me one time if the sun would get so big that it swallowed the earth. And I said, yes, but not until humanity. It'll become a red giant, but not until humanity has died out. And she said, well, God will make a new earth. Okay. What happens after that one's done? Another one. On and on like that forever. And she said, no, God will get tired. He'll want to spend time with his baby with whoever he marries. You know, this is a real person. A real little tiny person. I have thought a lot about my own kids because I'm babysitting and what I want for them. I want them to be creative. I want them to read a lot. I want them to be into deep thought and like a kid who loves philosophy. But the problem with that is a kid who really loves philosophy probably won't be able to function too well. Einstein was a D student, right? Albert, how do you deal with bullies? I prove they don't exist. That kid's getting beat. And it'd be difficult just to do simple things like hygiene. How can I remember to floss when I'm thinking of the many bacteria that live limited lives inside a mouth that will die one death for 1,000,000 of theirs? Well, little Albert, you floss to quench Lady Death another day. You stand in front of the faceless void, it makes your maintenance obsolete, and you floss. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know if I'll be a good father. These are the things my mind thinks about. What are you going to go to school for? How to translate ideas in and out of graphs? No, this is intelligence. For example, have giraffes ever met giraffe-shaped bushes?
No.
I'll demonstrate it. I'll act it out so we can all enjoy it. Is that a green giraffe? Oh my, is it a dark green giraffe? It doesn't even have spots. This is so crazy. Oh, it's a tree. It's a delicious leafy tree in the shape of a very attractive giraffe. It's just so waxy and the texture so smooth. I'll have a little bite. Yeah, that's delicious. Like, don't you wish that statues were made of food?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Or that paintings were sauces. That the people that follow you around in the museum have a tray full of like cake squares and strawberries and celery and onion rings. Excuse me, what does Picasso's Guernica taste like? Oh, well, here's a pita triangle. It's basically a large baba ganoush. Each shade of gray is a different olive puree. Oh my God, you haven't been to the food museum? We have to go Monday when they refresh the statues. We have to get there immediately when they open so we can get to Michelangelo's David. Why? Does he have like a white chocolate truffle for a thumb? Not his thumb. Bad girl. I just want to keep my childlike sense of joy. Like when you see a baby on the subway or something. Babies have this trait where they will put their eyebrows somewhere and then they'll forget where they left them. This demonstrates the principle of inertia. This baby frowned, but it seems to take more energy to change that than to leave it where it is. I just want to keep being a kid. I want to eat ice cream. I want to dance on pianos. I want to wonder about boobs. I used to think they were round, like little globes. And then somehow in the 1940s they were pointy. I don't know. Why do we grow up so fast? That's my question. I think that we age the most when we've made a mistake. Like, when we figured out we've really screwed up, we dissociate from our former selves, right? Oh, who's that bumbling oaf that made that obvious mistake? It was my idiot twin. He does very naive and embarrassing things. 5 minutes before I arrive, mature, enlightened Robert. You mean to tell me he called Aramide Jasmine? Doesn't he know that they are unique and unforgettable people, both of them? How appalling. He confused the only 2 black women in Texas history 4th period? Wow. Wow, how childish of former Robert. I will have a talk with him. Is it weird that as I'm becoming an adult, I'm slowly making a list of all my microaggressions? It's my list of shame. I think about it when I ride the bus. But don't pity me. This self-deprecation is all an act. When I'm in public, I pretend that I'm as insecure as the rest of you. That's called being polite. So I hate the smell of recycled paper because that is the smell of standardized testing.
Yes.
Yes! What is it called in your state? Do they have an acronym for it?
Oh, so what is it now? Is it PARC? PARC. It used to be CSAP, and then it was
CSAP?
TCAP, and then
TCAP,
it was
PARC?
It's PARC now. I don't know what it
I took the TOS test, T-A-A-S, and then the TOX test, T-A-K-S. Changing the acronym for no reason. What's weird about Texas is they're particularly bad about leaving childs behind. even though they give you all these strategies to figure out how to underline the important part of the question and circle the part that doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't really help because most of the questions are designed to benefit a certain kind of kid. Like even a math and science question, which should be pretty straightforward. It's like the teacher's pet does fine. Like the question is something like, why is the sun yellow? Is it A, because it's high in potassium? Now the teacher's pet has no problem with this. This is a joke from the teachers, obviously, because potassium equals banana, and banana is less than or equal to yellow. Cross that out, put J for joke, you gotta show your work. Or is it B, the sun is yellow because only yellow light travels through space? No. Counterexample, the moon. Next. Or is it C, the sun is yellow because it is very cold? Very cold is very imprecise. And I do recall from personal experience the warmth of the sun on my forearms, so it's not C. D, the sun is very yellow because it is made of fire. Now the teacher's pet selects D, because that's the correct one. And most kids would, unless they don't know banana trivia. A, it is high in potassium. Potassium's a science word. I think it's an element. Let me look at the periodic table. They didn't cover it up, the fools. Potassium, it's right there. Sounds like science. I'm picking A. She could have gone to Harvard. But now, just like that, community college. Just because she comes from a family that eats plantains, that's not justice. Anyways, that's my joke. Don't steal it. You're going to tell it wrong, and that's my thing. Quick PSA. When I find out that your super clever Facebook status is stolen from someone else's Twitter, I lose respect for you so hard. You shouldn't be stealing jokes. Not because people deserve credit, whatever about them, it's the internet. But because I don't want to make decisions about our friendship based on false information. Okay? I don't want to think you're like a quiet Maria Bamford comedic genius, when really you just follow Amy Schumer, and I don't, because why would I? It is legit. That's how I feel. I mean, like, okay, note to self, spend some time with Kevin. Initial interest based on movie quotes, unfounded. We must remember that quoting is not comedy. Just because you know a lot about Monty Python doesn't mean you have a sense of humor. Sorry, Kevin. So I understand why you might be a little insecure and you want to make yourself seem a little more creative and interesting, because it is an irreversible verdict. Once I see through you, you're out of my top 8. It's okay. I mean, I'm just asking you guys to please credit your sources, and that's no different than any other teacher, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And try, please. We're all creating the story of our lives on the internet. You want to look back and realize that you just expressed yourselves in poop emojis? Because that is now part of my feed, part of my life, part of everyone that follows you. You have a responsibility, little Albert, to produce web content. And as long as you're under my profile, we use proper punctuation.
Yeah!
Have you talked to your kids about memes? Most memes are harmless, but some are dank. It's very dangerous to show a dank meme to a developing mind. They might forget where they put their eyebrows, or attempt to eat artwork. Starting out is blueberry and the yellow is cheese. Please, before your kid follows the white rabbit into a rabbit hole of racial hatred, show them what quality looks like before they become a white supremacist. Join CARD. It's an acronym. C-A-R-D. Control, Alt-Right, Delete. Thank you very much! Please go to the stage, Levi Penley!
Since you abandoned me, my whole life is crashed. Won't you pick the pieces up? 'Cause it feels just like I'm walking on broken. Any fans of any Lennox in the house? She's a little before some of your time. She's a little before my time, for being honest. But it's worth the journey back. So, a phrase that I'm used to hearing a lot is, the worst that can happen is she says no. You're familiar with it. My friends say this to me a lot. They're like, come on, man, go offer to buy her a drink. The worst thing that can happen is she says no, which is not true. People who say that lack imagination. The worst thing that can happen is she says yes. We fall madly in love. We get married. She inspires me to achieve fame and fortune. And I re-inspire in her a love for genetic engineering within the field of biomechanics. And she develops a microorganism which she believes can enhance the human body and might be the end of all illness. And I use my newfound affluence to rally support and funding for her project, and every day we fall more in love with each other, and our love grows in perfect parallel with our blinding naivety. So naive are we that we begin human testing too soon. And it works perfectly. Beyond, in fact, our wildest dreams, we create superhumans, people who are smarter, and faster, and stronger than any living beings. They recognize themselves as the next step in self-evolution, an unnatural selection, and they begin to select for themselves the next group to pass the organism on to, amassing a conscienceless army of super soldiers hell-bent on ridding the earth of all inferior beings. Humanity doesn't stand a chance.
My wife and I only are spared, kept in separate towers of seclusion, and proclaimed the king and queen of the new world, but truly held as prisoners, helpless to prevent the destruction of a humanity we were only trying to save. When none remain on the surface of the planet but our genocidal bastard children, their insatiable bloodlust turns inward, and they set the nukes on each other. An endless winter falls upon our dying Mother Earth. Ashy snow falls and melts into guilty puddles of gray to mingle with blood and trickle aimlessly down avenues now forever empty and silent. Days turn to years, turn to decades, and all life fades from my cheeks, and memory drifts from my brain as if it was too burdened by the responsibility of its actions to hold on, letting it slip into an abyss of endless regret. I wander the earth as a vagabond, little more than a ghost. And in my wanderings, I stumble upon a cottage on the edge of a cliff, almost untouched by the world's sick blasphemy. I open the door and am surprised to find inside a woman. We share the cottage, and in time, our bodies, desperately trying to reclaim any scrap of humanity. In the passing months, she grows large with child. As her abdomen swells, her cheeks are flushed with a a shade of red that was almost forgotten. A red, the color of hope. But as hope tiptoes tentatively into our cottage, on its heels bursts in merciless memory. We recognize each other as lovers of old, and despair reclaims our hearts. Her voice rasps like a thunderbolt through the silence, and she says, "Who could our child be? We are the ravagers of the earth. Is it not enough we have destroyed it once? Are we doomed to destroy it again? Who could our child be but the Antichrist and the God Destroyer?" And with that, she heaves herself from the cottage and plunges herself headlong over the cliff. I gaze at her broken body. My eyes long dry of tears. I step without conflict into the air and stretch my arms to welcome the sweet, merciful murder of rock. But my blow is softened by the body of my wife. Broken and blighted, but still alive, I beg for reprieve. I cry for mercy, but death pities no beggars. And there, as every drop of my life drips from my broken body atop the bier of my dead wife and unborn child, with my final breath I rasp, "If there is a God and there is a heaven, surely its gates are barred to me, most despised of all men." And that is the worst thing. Please welcome my good friend Robert back to the stage.
Walking on broken legs. It's less comfortable than it sounds. Alright, I'm gonna go get my banjo so everybody dance for a second. Hey, stop dancing!
Okay.
Sorry. Alright, I'm gonna play a song. I didn't write the music to it, but I did write some new lyrics because I think it needed to be updated. Excellent. Okay. So here's how the song goes. Heaven, there in heaven, all the boys and girls that washed up on the beach seem to perish before they reach the shores of Greece. While Donald makes another hateful speech. Heaven, there in heaven, while their angry parents simply seek to teach, while the bitter tears roll down their brownish cheeks.
Do you want to sing our bluegrass jam?
What? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yes!
Okay, alright, so what we're gonna do, I suppose is, this is like my favorite thing we've ever created together, which should be a warning, because it's bizarre. Alright. With no further introduction.
Yeah. You say.
You said.
You say.
You
You say. You said.
You said.
That's it. You said.
You said pick a movie on a Wednesday night.
I picked
Deliverance again. And now we're having a fight.
You said.
You said pick your favorite actor. That wasn't Burt Reynolds.
But it
was too late.
I had already picked Burt Reynolds. You
left me on this sinking ship. I've been drowning my liver since.
But
now every night I get to watch Deliverance.
the next thing we're going to do doesn't have a predetermined set of pitches or even words, because we're going to freestyle rap for you.
Freestyle!
So we need to get started is some words.
Or anything that you'd, something you'd like to hear a rap about that you have never heard a rap about.
That's a great point. Grab point.
Bunnies.
Bunnies.
All right.
Could you hit that beat, sir? You're coming to look at me, sir, it's Easter. I'm looking for eggs, and we sure to find them. If we're going through the churchyard, I'm looking down, and it's not too hard to open up one of these. It's a Reese's Pieces. Tastes so good, but we have the staining on our hands because they got too hot in the heat and bland. Now the candy's ruined. I don't know why we're doing this. The Bruins are playing today, and we're totally missing it because I'm into hockey. Did I tell you that? Witness the love that I have for the ice and the fitness. And we're gonna beat Canada because we're best, and you know that because duh.
Oh, yo, Canada here. I don't know what you're talking about because listen here. We're the best on ice. Nobody can touch us. We're like nice. Our goalie stops every puck. You don't have a chance. Like, what the? Really? You could never, ever step in. You think you're oh so clever, but I'm skating back and forth. I'm skating backwards, and I'm skating on a horse. My horse has got skates. 4 of them. He's skating down. This is ice polo now. We're playing ice polo. You bet you didn't even know that existed. In Canada, we have all sorts of sports, kid. Things you never even heard of. Check the word up. We got sports like ice polo, the aforementioned. We have other sports like sports for relieving tension. Jaw tension.
I can choose circles around you because I have a double bubble and I chew faster than thou. I will show you how. Now. I'm the winner of this competition. And no, this is real. This is not fiction. I'm ruling this. I am the class above you, and you can kiss my grits. Thank you very much. Now we're gonna rap about bunnies. All about bunnies.
Do you want to hit the cue?
Oh, you're so right. We gotta do that. Sorry, Stowe. Hey, we have time if you want to do that.
All of it?
Yeah, go for it.
Stacks on stacks. All right, these are a series of knock-knock jokes. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Levi.
Levi who?
Levi from earlier in the show. I thought we had clarified.
That's right.
Okay. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Blue suede. Shh.
Blue suede shoes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's a solid one. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Jealous boyfriends.
Jealous boyfriend who?
Oh, so there are others. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Nervous seahorse boyfriend.
Nervous seahorse boyfriend who?
I'm pregnant. And I'm pretty sure it's yours. In fact, I'm positive it's yours because I fertilized your egg and then you placed it in my womb. The point I'm trying to make is, listen, I don't need your help raising this sea colt. I can take care of my own. I just wanted you to know that I felt something with you. Something special. And I think that I think we could have something here. But if not, if you don't agree, then just let me know. Don't try to let me down easy. I can take it. Just give it to me.
We don't want you.
I may have spoke too soon when I said I was emotionally prepared. I'm going to give you some time to think about it, and I'm going to return. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Harmony, it's me. Listen, I've had a little to drink, and I know you're in there. I heard you say who's there. Harmony, all the fellas say I should forget about you. Trigger and Atlantic Pharaoh, all of them. But how can I forget you, Harmony? How can I forget you when every day I look into little Ocean Biscuit's eyes and I see you? He has your eyes, Harmony, and your lateral trunk ring. Listen, Harmony, I didn't come back here to beg you to reconsider. I came back here because against all odds, I still want you. So what do you say, Harmony? One last rodeo for old time's sake? I'm sorry, is there somebody in there? Atlantic Pharaoh? Is that you? All right. I bet I should move on. I bet I should just forget about her. I bet that'd be awfully convenient for the two of you. Well, you know what? I deserve better than this.
Yeah.
And you will regret this. You will rue the day that you let sea creature Terriot paddle his way on out of your life. Knock knock.
There.
Orange.
Orange you.
Orange you glad I'm not a seahorse. Please welcome my friend Robert back to the stage. Sunny in the big blue sky, but it don't mean nothing to me. Oh, let the rain fall down, let the wind blow through me. I'm living in an empty room with all the windows smashed. But I got so little left to lose that it feels just like I'm walking on broken glass. Don't cheapen what we're doing up here.
$20?
Right, okay. I mean, I wouldn't have turned down a single no.
I do work those clubs, so. We need a suggestion for improvisation at this point. We're going to do some theatrical improvisation. That means making up what we're saying, who we are, and what's going on. So, to get us started, can I get, you look at the place where your parents kept all the VHSs when you were a kid, or DVDs, and you see, what's the first title that comes to your head? Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. And for you, all I need from you is a two-syllable word that feels powerful.
Pigeon.
Pigeon! Alright. Pigeon.
It's an inside.
And now it's an outside.
It's out there now.
It's out now. So Little Mermaid makes me think about the way that at the end of Little Mermaid, Sebastian, her good friend, is chased by a murderous chef, and that seems to be a solution for him. His story is to just be eaten by the people that he once loved.
Right, it is kind of an doesn't have anything to do with what's happening in the. How many side characters get their own little side plot?
That's my extent of knowledge about Little Mermaid. I didn't see it as many times as she did. So
I've only seen it once.
I've never seen it.
Well, Pigeon doesn't usually make me think this, but after I asked for powerful and got Pigeon, I just imagined the most powerful pigeon possible. Just like this huge jacked pigeon, which would be terrifying because pigeons in New York are jerks. So one that could actually hurt you would hurt you. So the pigeon, I don't know if y'all noticed if you've been around long enough, like pigeons will like get mad at you for being in their way. They'll be like, "What's up? I'm eating crumbs here." Pigeons are jerks.
they're flying rats. Let's get started. Little Mermaid?
Pigeon.
Awesome.
Yeah! Woo! Nicely done.
So Simba, all of Pride Rock is very hungry. Turns out famine is something that happens not because of what we do, but just naturally happens sometimes.
I think you are mistaken. It rained once.
Look, I'm your lady lion, and I will stand by you. But Timon looks really delicious.
No, whoa, no.
He's
I set up
some
like,
weight
well,
after.
I've set up clear guidelines about what my kingship would look like.
Well,
One thing is we don't.
things change. People change. And we are the predators. Have you forgotten that?
Nala, I hear what you're saying, and I respect what you're saying, and I understand what you're feeling. But Timon is one of my best friends. You can't. I wouldn't be able to look at you again if you ate him. Although, and I do love looking at you.
Thank you. But I'm not asking for Pumbaa. That would be the obvious choice, but I know how much you love Pumbaa and how annoying Timon has gotten.
Don't do this to me. Timon is going. We're rediscovering our boundaries.
A
right?
weekly hula show?
Yes, it's annoying to me too, and I don't want to keep showing up and paying a 2-drink minimum, but he's my friend. So I see the hula show.
What has he done for you lately? Because it seems like his whole philosophy is do nothing and expect things to happen for you.
That's how I found you. Don't. Nala. Nala. I'm not kidding. Please do not. Please. Nala. You ready to get jacked, pigeon bro? You ready to get jacked, pigeon bro?
I'm tired of people walking where I'm walking.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'll tell you one thing. In 1 month, you're going to see real results. In 2 months, you're going to see actual mass. In 3 months, nobody's going to get it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about crumbs. I'm talking about hopping up on outside seating and saying, "You finished these eggs, Benedict?" I'm just kidding. I'm eating them anyway. Well, you're going to be so jacked. People are going to, like, say, "Whoa, that pigeon's jacked."
Am I your first student?
No! What? That would be misleading of me. The flyer I put up made it appear as if I was very experienced.
I believe that.
Good. First things we're gonna do is some pigeon push-ups. They're like human push-ups, but you do them with your wings. All right? And keep in mind, wings only really work like this. That's all right, bro. I'll give you a pigeon spot. Easy. Easy. I'm gonna pigeon spot you, bro. You ready? Oh, easy, bro. Better form is better
better than numbers, right? 3 perfect form pigeon push-ups is better than 30 with bad form. I read that today on Wikipedia. You have a computer? No, but there's this hipster who falls asleep at the Starbucks where I live. And sometimes I can cruise the web. But dude, I think I pooped on his computer. I don't
You can't be an engineer, a chemist, and a dancer. You're gonna have to pick one, son.
That's what you think. Just because you weren't able to achieve all your dreams doesn't mean that I can't.
Look, I achieved the dreams that were practical for me.
Practical? Father, you haven't even begun to realize what dreaming is when you speak of practicality.
I work for a ballet. I have a steady job.
You were fine just being a dancer your whole life.
Fine. I'm renowned. Seattle's greatest.
What have you built with your hands that will last past your lifetime?
I built things with my feet that you can't even imagine.
Dad, I see your point. What I'm saying is that I want to be able to do more than express myself through the art of dance, which some of the critics in this town are saying I'm already doing better than you. Oh!
Maybe you should work on your elevate. Because I think you're getting too ambitious.
Alright. I've just begun to pirouette my whistle.
That is disgusting. What you just said is wrong.
I'm operating within the boundary of puns. I'm sorry if it was...
Henry, there are 2 important things in this household, dance and puns.
I'm not a natural born punner, Father. I had to work hard to be on the level you are.
Maybe you're doing well compared to your contemporaries. But dance is a hard world. You can't just be reading a chemistry book one night and then go out there and do a nutcracker.
Maybe not in your time, Dad.
You're gonna crack your nut.
Dang it, it's so effortless for you. Vala, I don't want to jump straight to accusations, and I don't want to point fingers.
What?
No one seemed to move. To moan. There would seem to moan for like 2 days.
That's like super weird. Help me! I'm trapped in a ballet!
What was that? Did you say you were trapped in a ballet?
I said I was trapped in a ballet. This relationship is just a dance. You wanted a queen, didn't you? You want a partner?
Wait. When you said you were trapped in a ballet, you sounded like Nathan Lane.
No. I'm working on my sinuses, so sometimes my twang is a little strong, but that's it.
It's difficult for me to think that you didn't eat my best friend. I'm just going to put it out there, all right? The Rafiki said we should be open about our feelings, and I'm trying to do that.
As if you would show up to our last Rafiki meeting.
I made an appearance! I'm running a kingdom! Do you know how difficult it is to run a kingdom that's made of everything
Do you know
the
what
light
difficult
touches? That's everything!
Okay.
Except for the spots underneath trees. Guess how many trees there are? Minimal amounts. I'm sorry.
Do you know how difficult it is to be in a loving relationship with someone whose father watches them every second from the sky?
I'm sorry the floating head of my cloud father is bothering me.
You know what he said to me yesterday?
What did he say to you?
Oh, no disappointment.
What?
Yeah,
He would
said
not say that.
Yeah, he did. He said it in clouds.
He spelled it out in clouds.
He took the time. He really hates me.
He's just picky. He wants what's best for me. Which is not to say... Listen, you ate my friend, I'm pretty sure.
No, I didn't do that. I was talking to Pumbaa, who is a wreck. He has turned to the bottle, and I can barely get a word out of
Have
him.
you seen this ball of yarn?
Oh my gosh!
You come here often? You been to the Starbucks before, you saucy female pigeon, you?
That's good, bro. Wait, are you talking to me, bro?
No, I was playing the scenario. I was committing to it.
Okay. Well, it was good because I believed you for a second.
I'm glad this is part of the training. I think it's unorthodox, but it is very necessary for me.
Well, let's get down to like the point of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Get buff so that pigeon ladies will go.
And we can finally start raising a family.
Side note, unrelated, my father, Pigeon, he lives up in Columbus Circle. He lost his foot. He is stumbling around on a stump. He can't fly anymore. This city's tough, but we're gonna find you a lady, man.
Maybe it's possible that I could lose one of my limbs?
Yeah, bro, that's why fitness is super important.
Is there any safe place that I could be in the city?
Well, Upper East Side, but people will kick you. Also, I had a friend of mine on the Upper East Side, and a lady with heels stepped on him, yeah, that's right! Check out those lights! Stiletto's not going through that!
I am in charge of this area.
Dude, we are gonna climb up that food chain one rung at a time. Unnatural selection.
Yeah.
We're gonna rule this city. Look at me. We're gonna rule this city. Say it like you believe it. We're gonna rule this city.
So we couldn't put you in a lead part, but you're going to be in the chorus for this production. And it's one of Tchaikovsky's. So the chorus has a lot of work to do. There's synchronization, lining up with other people. It's going to take a lot of work and cooperation.
Yeah. I'm just sorry. Just expectations going in. I thought I was gonna be doing something.
Yeah,
show that matter.
Oh my God! What?
I want to be a lead.
Okay, you're not your dad, okay? You're new here. The Kansas City Ballet is an institution.
Is it my revelay?
Did you say revelay?
No. I'm sorry. I got it confused with the chemistry word. Relevant. You said my relevant?
No, we're not going to be watching those now. Look, everything's up to date in Kansas City. So you better get your crap together.
Hey, you've PK'd my interest. I'm just punning defensively now.
No, that's fine. That's how we do things here. Because you can't be delicate. You can't be a little sugar plum fairy, okay?
I am so not delicate, and by so I mean Sioux, spelled S-I-O-U-X.
I am not following.
Sioux, the Sioux Nation.
You think of South Dakota?
That's South Dakota. Kansas City.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I did not take a lot of time to learn geography. I've been so focused on chemistry and engineering, which I'm beginning to think it might be over my head.
Well, this year's theme for our ballet,
Yes.
we're doing modern stuff. We're going to be doing Tchaikovsky, but it's going to be robotic. Because our motto this year is, we're not in Kansas City.
Not afraid of that being confusing for patrons?
No, we're in Kansas City, Missouri. Are you deaf? What is wrong with
Is
you?
it Kansas City in Missouri?
Yes!
Have I lived in Missouri my whole life? Because I'm in misery right now.
Thank you. Welcome back. Today's show is mostly focused on how we can all become better people. I have with me Ed the Hyena, and he's going to be taking questions from the audience. I'm a wise old baboon, and I will give you what you need to know to live a fulfilling life.
First things first, let's set a couple guidelines. Anything that crosses this stage is mine. I will chomp it off. His safety is my utmost concern. Now, any questions? Anyone in the audience have a question for the wise old baboon?
I am very wise.
Why is your butt blue?
Why
is your
my butt blue? I've been asked this by my mother, in fact. And what I've come to understand is it's not the why of my butt being blue, it's why is everyone else's pink.
Next question, yes.
Have you ever dropped a future king of the pride?
Yes.
You don't have to.
Yes. My tail is not prehensile. But occasionally I do use it to hold things that are not that weighty. And in this particular instance, I was escaping a large predator, and Simba just tumbled through the jungle. But I just hid him for a while until he was healed up.
Up here in the front.
How's your love life?
I'm asexual.
Alright.
So that's how it is. Anyone else?
Ooh. Life after death. That
That's a statement.
I guess I was wrong. I didn't realize that there was so much innovation to be made in dance belts. Yeah, but your polymers have changed the game. And I'm sorry that I didn't support you. Daddy's back!
Yeah! He still got it! He still got it!
Nicely done.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh! This old dog can learn some new tricks. I'm just trying to surely a crossover with dog and dancing. Pas de chat, perhaps? Pas de chat?
I like that one. You know what? I'm proud of you. You don't have to impress me right now. Just pour me a glass of water and we'll sit down and have a nice talk, father-son.
Okay.
Don't screw it up.
About anything? Or just like a casual conversation?
Well, I think we haven't really gotten to know each other.
At all? Okay. I'll get the water.
Actually, make it tea. And I want some sugar in mine. Maybe 2 market grams.
Right away.
And when you have it on the tray, make sure you Balanchine it correctly.
Well, it's difficult when the tray's so steep. I did spill all of that tea.
So, you've been a lot of places. Did you see any exotic birds while you were out? Jerome Robbins? Did
Jerome Robbins, the
Robbins.
choreographer.
Yeah,
also
that's what
got
it is.
the bird. Yeah. You know, I happened upon a couple birds, but more than the birds, I was interested in well, I did see a pack of birds, not a posse, a fosse.
John, if we dance?
Do I mind? That's all I wanted to do this whole time.